Welcome back to the Digital Ledger podcast. I'm DJ, joined by Erin, who sees where things are going before they get there. Today we're getting into how small accounting and finance firms are using AI to build real strategic capacity. Not just speed, but the ability to shift their entire value proposition.
And DJ, this is one of those areas people tend to underestimate. There's this assumption that AI is still a big enterprise game, that smaller firms don't have the budget or the infrastructure. But what we're actually seeing on the ground is the opposite.
One quick thing worth telling you before we move forward. AI helps with research and drafting. Every fact check, every judgment call, every choice about what airs, those come from us. This podcast is part of the Digital Ledger, a free weekly brief for finance leaders. 2 articles and 1 podcast. Lands every Wednesday morning. TheDigitalLedger.org. Alright, so moving right along. Let's start with the core problem. When we talk about small firms, the issue isn't usually a lack of talent or ambition. It's a hidden capacity crisis.
Exactly. And here's what that looks like in practice. Your best people are quietly consumed by repetitive tasks. Tax research, audit procedures, client intake, approvals, monthly closes. These things burn hours and mental energy. And with limited staff and tighter budgets, you can't just hire your way out of it.
So the real issue here is that if your most valuable people are spending 80% of their time on tasks that don't actually leverage their expertise, what's the cost? It's not just hours, it's lost opportunity for higher value work, the kind of strategic advisory clients actually need. You're always playing catch-up, never getting ahead.
That's the trap, DJ. And what's interesting is that this isn't just about making people faster. It's about shifting their focus entirely. When you can automate, say, 80% of individual tax return preparation, which some firms are already doing with AI-assisted tools, you're not just saving hours. You're creating capacity for your team to become strategic advisors instead of compliance processors.
So for anyone listening, identify one repetitive task this week that consistently takes up your team's malleable time. That's your starting point for where AI can actually free up capacity, not someday, right now.
And the good news, DJ, is that the barrier to entry is far lower than most finance leaders think. We're not talking about massive enterprise systems or huge technology budgets. We're talking about free or inexpensive programs, tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or even just maximizing existing platforms like Microsoft 365.
Sarah Harris, co-founder of Agate CPA, put it simply. Small practitioners are using these accessible programs to create solutions to practice problems themselves. They're not waiting for IT departments or vendor rollouts. They're building what they need.
And that's a critical shift in mindset, because the fundamental principle here is that AI is there to augment, not to replace professional judgment. Brian Davis, CEO of One Stop CPA, makes it clear that AI is a starting point, not the final answer. The real power comes from combining AI speed with the CPA's seasoned judgment.
So the move here is to start small. Think about those recurring tasks in your firm that are draining time or feel like a grind. Identify one process, client intake, internal approvals, or even just structuring a memo. Then explore how a tool like ChatGPT or Claude could help. The goal is to build those skills in prompt engineering and interpretation, not to delegate your decision making.
Right, and that human oversight and skepticism, those are still firmly in your hands.
Let's talk about what strategic capacity actually means, because I think the conversation around AI has been heavily skewed towards efficiency. How can we do things faster with less human input? And while that's part of it, I think the real question for finance leaders needs to shift.
I agree, DJ. Strategic capacity isn't just about saving hours on a task. It's about creating space for finance professionals to actually do the higher value work that their expertise is meant for. The Journal of Accountancy highlights this perfectly. AI frees up accountants from routine tasks like tax prep, bank reconciliations, or month-end closes. This isn't just about finishing reports quicker. It's about enabling them to dedicate their focus to sophisticated advisory services, deep financial analytics, and even critical strategic thinking for their clients.
So if you're a CFO or a firm leader listening, take your team's current weekly tasks and ask, where are we spending time on repetitive processes that an AI could manage? And more importantly, what strategic initiatives or client advisory opportunities are we currently missing out on because our best people are bogged down in compliance or basic data processing?
Because when that capacity is created, firms can provide a genuinely higher level of service. Instead of spending hours on document analysis for an audit or sifting through complex tax codes, that time can be used for deeper client consultations, proactive risk assessment, or even identifying new revenue streams for the business. It's about elevating the finance function from a backward looking reporting entity to a forward looking strategic partner.
Let's look at a concrete example. How is this playing out for a firm dealing with intricate tax planning, which traditionally demands significant manual research and expertise?
Great question. Ryan Davis at One Stop CPA runs a fully digital practice specializing in complex tax planning for clients with layered transactions. He's leveraging an AI assisted research app called BlueJ to tackle some really intricate scenarios: M&A advice, state tax implications for clients moving states, things like that. The process he follows is a fantastic blueprint. First, they clearly identify the client's complex tax problem. Then, they input the scenario and relevant facts into BlueJ, which quickly provides an up-to-date, cited and source-backed analysis. But here's the critical part. Brian then reviews that output, applies his professional judgment, and makes the ultimate strategic decisions for the client's full picture.
That's key, isn't it? The idea that AI is a starting point, not the final answer. It's speeding up the initial heavy lifting, but the strategic brainpower still comes from the CPA.
Exactly. And the payoff is significant. He can provide a much higher level service with less time spent on complicated tasks. For a recent M&A client, he was able to develop an answer within 2 hours, which would have taken far longer previously. He also uses tools like ChatGPT to organize information and structure client-facing deliverables, detailed research memos, presentations, one-page overviews. This gives the CPA more time to think strategically, evaluate scenarios, and focus on applying professional judgment to the client's specific situation.
So far, we've talked about complex tasks like tax planning, but I think it's important to shine a light on the more everyday operational challenges that small firms face. These are often the silent killers of efficiency: client intake, managing workflows, even just getting a handle on client satisfaction.
Exactly, DJ. And these aren't just minor irritations, they're significant bottlenecks that can directly impact client relationships and your firm's profitability. What's interesting is how readily available AI tools are being used to tackle these specific pain points, often without needing a huge budget or a dedicated tech team.
Let's start with client intake, because that's often the very first touch point, and it sets the tone. We hear about firms struggling with low quality leads or spending too much time on prospects that aren't a good fit.
Take Agate CPA again. They realized their initial web form was too basic, leading to a lot of sales calls but not enough conversions. So instead of just accepting that, they used tools like Lovable and Claude to build a smarter, more detailed intake form. This new form asks crucial questions up front. Are you a business owner? What industry are you in? How many employees? What's your revenue? Have you worked with a CPA before? And why are you looking for a new one? All of that information then flows directly into their practice management system.
And the payoff?
Huge. They spend more time with genuinely good prospects, and their conversion rate jumped by about 25%. So if you're a firm owner listening, think about your own intake process. Where are the information gaps? And could a smarter, AI-assisted form help you pre-qualify leads and save valuable time?
That's a great practical example of turning a time sink into a strategic advantage. Now, on the workflow side, especially for something as critical as approvals, what are we seeing?
Gerald Hannafin at Public Trust CPA recognized this pain point with her nonprofit clients, who often have rigorous internal controls. Her clients were struggling with multiple logins and unfamiliar systems just to approve an invoice. Her solution was brilliant in its simplicity. She used Microsoft Power Automate with a little help from Copilot to build an automated workflow. Now, vendor invoices sent to a dedicated client email automatically trigger an electronic approval request via Adobe Sign. Once approved, it creates a bill in QuickBooks and attaches the signed documentation, creating a complete audit trail.
Showing you accounts for clients, no software to learn.
Exactly. It drastically streamlines the process, frees up client time, and gives her easier access to their information. The takeaway here is to identify those recurring, cumbersome approval processes in your firm or for your clients and ask how AI can smooth them out. It's not about complexity, it's about thoughtful automation.
And finally, let's talk about client satisfaction, because it's often hard to get timely, actionable feedback without high costs.
High Rock Accounting has a fantastic story here. Their COO, Ashley Roden, wasn't satisfied with their existing client satisfaction programs. Too expensive, not enough actionable data. So she used Claude Code to create a custom app that integrates directly into their project management system. This app automatically checks in with clients after major projects or monthly based on their feedback scores and feeds the results directly into their system. This means the team gets real-time visibility into client satisfaction, much faster and at a lower cost than their previous paid solutions.
So it's about getting that crucial feedback loop in place and understanding what's working and what isn't in real time.
Exactly. And the big insight from High Rock Accounting? CEO Liz Mason says that if you have what it takes to be an accountant, you can learn to create these kinds of tech tools yourself. They even started an AI happy hour to brainstorm what to automate next. The call to action here is clear. Don't just consume technology, learn to build with it.
We've talked a lot about the upside of AI, but we also have to address the critical concerns. As AI automation accelerates, client trust truly hinges on how firms manage data and ensure human oversight. What does that actually mean for finance leaders, beyond the technology itself?
It means that while AI can certainly improve efficiency, professional judgment, skepticism, and client relationships remain firmly in our hands. The firms we looked at are already taking crucial steps. Brian Davis, for example, mentioned he only uses enterprise versions of AI to ensure client data isn't used to train public large language models. That's a direct way to protect confidentiality.
So the move here is to be intentional about the platforms you choose and to understand their data usage policies. Beyond that, what else should finance leaders be doing to build and maintain that trust?
The absolute non-negotiable is human review. Every firm we looked at emphasized this. A human reviews the process, always, and verifies the output. Agate CPA incorporated anti-spam and bot protection tools like CAPTCHA and uses rate limiting and traffic monitoring for client-facing forms to reduce automated attacks. For finance leaders, you need to implement robust internal controls and clear policies around AI use. Don't just deploy AI and walk away. Actively ask, who is reviewing this output? How are we verifying its accuracy?
That's a solid practical prompt for anyone listening. If you're approving an AI tool or even building one in-house, you need to explicitly define those human review points. It's not just about what the AI can do, but what it shouldn't do without that critical human layer of oversight and judgment. So what about the leadership angle here, Erin? How do finance leaders actually empower their teams to become these tech tool creators that we're seeing in some of these smaller firms? It seems like a mindset shift is needed.
It absolutely is a mindset shift, DJ, and it starts with encouraging curiosity and experimentation. Liz Mason, CEO of High Rock Accounting, puts it perfectly. She actively encourages her team to integrate AI into their daily lives, really pushing them to ask, what's possible? Her belief is that if you have what it takes to be an accountant, you can also learn to create your own tech tools. We saw that with Susan Wazina, their head of tax, who, despite having no tech background, built a working prototype for client onboarding in just a few hours using AI.
That's a powerful idea, moving from simply consuming technology to actually creating solutions with it. It means leadership isn't just approving tech budgets, but fostering an environment where people feel empowered to innovate.
Exactly. It's about giving permission to explore and providing a low-risk environment for trial and error. Think back to Sarah Harris's advice from Agate CPA. Just pick one thing. For our listeners, I'd challenge you to identify one recurring pain point or repetitive task in your firm this week. Something you genuinely dislike doing. Then open up a conversation with an AI tool like ChatGPT or Claude about how you might automate or improve it. Let the AI guide you on what needs to be done. You'll likely discover that the technology is far more accessible than you imagined, and that initial win can lead to tenfold payoffs.
I think that's a good place to start bringing this to a close. This has been a really insightful conversation on how AI isn't just for the big players, but actively transforming what small finance firms can achieve.
Absolutely, DJ. It's been a great discussion. I'm glad we dug into the practical steps leaders can take. There's so much potential here.
I think that's a good place to leave this. It's been a really good discussion. And to those of you listening, thank you for staying with us and spending your time here. We don't take that lightly. Until next time.